Ooh, it's hot. Hello. People tend to know what they like and don't like in life. Like food, music, TV, film. We all kind of know our personal likes and dislikes. Saying that, I found that recently there's quite a few things that I used to hate or thought that I hated that I gave a second chance to and realised that actually it's not so bad. And I feel like it's important to do that, especially when you're growing older, because, you know, who's to say 5 years from now you're like what you like now? 5 years is a long time. Your tastes will change, you'll experience things, you'll have new ideas of what things mean. And that song that right now you really dislike, in 10 years you might love it and you might think it's amazing. For example, sushi. I used to hate sushi. I hated the idea of sushi at first, and then I tried some and I was like, nope, no, I hate sushi. I think I tried it at a party and I was just like, I thought it was disgusting. I thought the idea of sushi was just like, bleh. And then recently I was stuck in London, I think, somewhere, and I was desperate for food. I hadn't had any lunch. The first place I saw was a sushi bar, and I was like, you know what, they must have something other than sushi. So I went in there and they had a few things, but they had some vegetarian sushi, and I was like, I do kind of want some rice. And I actually liked it. And that convinced me just to try normal sushi. Turns out I love it. Another type of food that I used to hate, and for good reason, I think a lot of people hate this, was olives. Now, the reason I hate olives, or hated olives, is because I am obsessed with grapes. Like, I love grapes. I've always loved grapes. I could eat grapes until I die. I've literally eaten grapes until I get ill, and then because I feel ill, I eat more grapes to make myself feel better. They're like my ill food. I could literally just non-stop eat grapes. Like, when I buy grapes, I buy like the whole basket for myself. People think I'm gonna share, and then I don't. So when you're a kid who loves grapes and you're at like a gathering, a family gathering, and you see a bowl of what looks like grapes, and you're like, oh, I see you grapes, and you go over to check them out, and you realise they're not quite grapes. Or maybe there's some exotic type of grape that you've never seen before. So you eat one, and it's not a grape. Olives are the complete opposite of what you're expecting if you're expecting to eat a grape. They're like kind of dry and a weird rubbery texture and vinegary. I did not trust olives. I felt like they were put there to trick me. Like they were hanging out trying to look like grapes just so I'd eat them. They knew what they were doing. For years I was adamant. I was like, I hate olives. They're evil grapes. They shouldn't exist. And then I think I had a pizza that had olives on and I didn't realise. And I was like, what is this really nice thing that's on this pizza? Turned out to be olives. And since then I've kind of betrayed myself a little bit. And well, now I'm a bit obsessed with olives as well as grapes. Grapes are still my number one food. I grew up with 2 cats for most of my life. So I've always considered myself to be a cat person. Until I met someone who was a dog person. And they showed me the magic of dogs. And to be honest, I never thought that I'd ever want a dog. And they, very sneakily, but very slowly, got me into dogs. You know, they started with like the kind of dogs that everyone likes, and then they were like, oh, look at this dog, oh, isn't he fun? And it's a bit weird that I never liked dogs because I'm quite an optimistic person. And I think dogs come across as super optimistic. They're always happy to see you. They always give you love and attention no matter like who you are. Whereas cats are kind of just, you know, they've got a lot more personality, which is why I liked them, but I'm just surprised I didn't think, you know, that I relate to dogs more. There are even certain items of clothing that when I was a kid, I was like, I'm never going to wear that. Being anti-shorts was a big part of my childhood, and then I finally gave in. I spent an entire summer one time wearing like jogging trousers. I'm surprised I didn't get heat stroke. I don't know what it was about shorts, I just hated them. And also vest tops. I had such a thing against vest tops and polo shirts. Those were like the 2 main things, vest tops and polo shirts. And now I have quite a lot of both of them. I feel like if 14-year-old me met me now, he'd be like, why have you got vest shirts? Why have you got polo shirts? What are you doing? Why are we wearing these things? We don't like these things. But it does make me worry that one day I'll be into flares or something. And me from now will look in the future and be like, what are you doing? One last thing that I gave a second chance to was art. and drawing. Because when I was younger, I used to draw all the time. I was so into creating characters and designing like scenes and costumes and stuff. And when I got to my late teens, I sort of started to leave it behind. To be honest, I thought I wasn't any good, and I wasn't that great. All I could do was like copy a drawing. I could never draw anything original. And I thought, you know what? I've enjoyed drawing. I mean, I didn't consciously like drop it. I wasn't like, I'm had enough of this. I started to see it as something that was in my past rather than something that I did. But recently, I gave it another go, and it was weird. It felt a bit like I was regressing back to my younger self. It felt like I was going backwards. I was like, I can't stop drawing again. Like, that's what I did when I was a teenager. Of course, back then, I always felt like I had a certain level of talent that wouldn't get any better and it wouldn't get any worse. It was just as it was. Whereas now I know the more you do something, the better you'll get. And so even when I draw something that's really rubbish, I just think, you know what? If I just keep doing this, I'll get better. And, you know, that's the kind of was the idea behind doing a webcomic when I started doing Deskhood, was I don't care if it looks crap, because the more I do it, the better I'll get. And I'll be able to see that transition from the first comic, which is pretty rubbish, to like whichever one I'm working on now, where it's not amazing, but I can see a difference. And I think that's why you shouldn't give up on stuff, and that's why you should go back to stuff. If you give up on something, you don't have to give up on it just because you don't think you're getting any better. I mean, if it's taking up all your time and you feel like it's bringing you down, then sure, that's fine. But if you enjoy it and it's not harming anyone, don't quit something just because you don't think you're good at it. And that's definitely something I learned by going back to doing art. That's everything I can think of now. But as always, check out the webcomic, deskhoodcomic.com. Like this video if you want. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, see you later. Oh, it's still recording. Whoops.